A lotus is a flower rooted in the mud that rises through and above to become a beautiful bloom. This is a podcast sharing mine and other stories of how we've done the same, choosing to rise above our circumstances to bloom. I'm your host, Amber. Let's get started. This is my friend Shandra. We have known each other since we were 9 years old.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Which is
Mhm.
like 20 something years.
Enough to stop counting after 20. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair. She actually has her own podcast.
I do.
And it's, oh my gosh, Sister Magic
Sister
Pod.
Magic with a K. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Which she has with her sister, who I also grew up with.
Yeah.
Um, and then, gosh, she was in my wedding. We're just like
Yes. Yeah. We're bound together, like woven through.
for life.
Pretty much. Yep.
So do you want to just tell a little bit about yourself, where you grew up,
Sure.
um, and we'll kind of dive into this. This is a
Yeah.
topic that
Yeah.
I haven't like really touched on yet for this podcast, so this is kind of a
Right.
big one.
Yeah.
And then I'll interject here and there.
Sure. Sure. So my name is Shandra and Michayla. I grew up here in Durango for the most part, Durango, Colorado. I was raised fourth generation Jehovah's Witness. So that's kind of where my story gets interesting. um, for those who aren't familiar with like Jehovah's Witnesses, it's not like hugely different from other extreme Christian faiths. There's no holidays, there's no birthdays, you don't vote. You're not really permitted to have a community that's outside of the church family.
Mhm.
Uh, let's see, I wrote down a bunch of stuff. We do the whole door-to-door thing. So a lot of people like associate Jehovah's Witnesses with people who knock on your door on Saturday morning,
Yeah.
right? So I've had like a whole childhood full of that.
And just to clarify with that, this is
Yeah.
something that I didn't really think about, but I had a conversation with a friend recently, who just left the Mormon church, and so we're just like
Oh yeah.
comparing notes.
Uh-huh.
The door-to-door work is a lifetime thing. It's
Yeah.
not you're 2 years and you're done or a certain
Right.
age bracket, it's your whole life.
Yeah. Yep. Started knocking on actual doors like at 5 or 6 years old.
I think I was 11, only because I
Yeah.
joined a little bit later.
Right. You
I
you
probably
came in
would
a
have
little
been.
later.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. Um we went to church 3 times a week. You live very, very strictly by like Bible stuff, regardless on how little the Bible stuff makes sense. Like
Mhm.
you have to live by it. So that's kind of the Reader's Digest notes on being a Jehovah's Witness growing up.
Yeah.
I think I was thinking a lot about like how to present my story like on theme with your podcast because you're very much about like this is the mud we came from and then we bloomed into this. So I'm like, okay, what's the mud? Like it's not easy to grow up that way, but
Mhm.
I benefited a lot from it, right?
Mhm.
Like I can absolutely see how a lot of who I am as a strong person now came from growing up that way.
Mhm. Same.
So I can't like trash it necessarily, but I can absolutely see like there's very hard stuff about growing up that way.
Mhm.
There's very, very derogatory perspectives towards women growing up. Um
Mhm.
especially for like your body and stuff. If a bra strap happens to poke outside of your clothes and somebody sees it and has a sexual thought, like that's
Yeah.
your fault.
Yeah. Well, it's
And
very much like people are having issues with like sending girls home for wearing too short shorts or wearing tank tops, right?
yeah,
But like we'll
yeah,
tell the boys not to look. It was that
yeah, exactly,
intensified. Like we couldn't
exactly.
even have if we had a full length skirt.
Hmm.
And this sounds so weird talking about it, and the slit came above the knee, we had to hem
Yeah.
it down. We were like little
Yes.
mermaids walking down the
Right.
street.
Yeah, your knees are always stuck together while you're shuffling along.
Shuffling.
We always had SUVs. Like, how do you get into an SUV when your knees are stuck together? It's
For
really
real.
hard.
And the mud. We lived in a very muddy town.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So it's just really interesting stuff there. Very homophobic community,
Mhm,
right? I'm a queer person. I know that now. Was really, really toxic way to grow up as a queer kid.
mhm.
Um,
And we have a few friends who had to go through that
yeah,
of figuring out their identity and fighting it, and then having
yes,
to come out of that
exactly.
and blossom into these beautiful people that they are that we love so much.
Exactly. Yeah. Um, let's see. On top of that, I was thinking like there's a really interesting kind of courage that you get from doing the things that will make your parents proud,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And it's a completely different kind of courage from doing the things that will lose you everyone but are part of your truth.
Mhm. Yep.
They're both courage. They're both valid, but they are really, really different.
Mhm.
And so that's something I was thinking like really came out of my childhood. Like I did a ton of stuff and I was really into it. Like I was very devoted, very devout Christian person, you know, and I did a lot of things on stage and with microphones and I wasn't afraid of any of that.
Mhm.
And I talked to strangers, I knocked on doors, you know, all of that. But then when it came time, like I got married at 19, um, which I mean, the whole reason behind that is because you're not allowed to have sex before marriage and you're teenagers and you have to have sex, so you're gonna get married as a teenager. It's going to
Yeah.
happen. Right.
Uh,
I will say like there wasn't any like sexual abuse or anything in my story. I was very fortunate in that. I didn't marry a bad guy. He wasn't abusive in any way. I always feel like I need to be very clear about all of that
yeah, because
in my story because
that was
it's yeah, it's
yeah,
so
that was
common.
another thing that happened too, but
Yeah,
luckily enough, you were fortunate not to experience that.
exactly, exactly. I married a decent guy. He just wasn't super devout, which was kind of where I started to kind of like drift a little bit, you know?
Mhm.
He didn't really care if we skipped a meeting. He didn't really care if we didn't go knock on doors. And then I ended up in this weird place where it was like this huge internal conflict of I have to go knock on this door and try and convince this person that the Bible is going to solve all of their problems when I don't feel like that
Mhm.
inside of myself. And this makes me a hypocrite and I'm really uncomfortable with that.
You know what's funny? That's and I don't know that we've ever talked about this particular thing. That's
Mhm.
exactly what was the beginning of mine, is
Yeah.
because so we were what was called regular pioneering, which basically
Yeah.
meant you went in the door-to-door work, you devoted so many hours. You
Yeah.
could auxiliary, which meant 1 month commitment, and you
Right.
could do several months, but it just meant you were committing 1 month at a time.
Right.
We were regular pioneers, which meant we committed a year at a time to this door-to-door work, and
Exactly.
so many
Yeah.
hours per month is what it averaged. I think when we were in, it was like 70 hours per month.
Yeah. Mhm.
Anyways, I just remember when I started fading out, having this thought process of we were taught that like God would see people's hearts and he would draw them based on their heart. He
Exactly.
would decide if they were sheep.
Yeah.
And so like sometimes if we delivered a message and they said no, it just wasn't the right time.
Right.
And
Or they weren't a sheep.
yeah, or they weren't a sheep.
It was
And
what had nothing to do with us.
it had nothing to do with us, which was like very cool about like don't put the guilt on yourself. But then it made it like
Yeah.
an easy way out for me of like, if they're gonna be
Eh,
drawn to this, then why do I even have to like, why should I put
right. Yeah.
effort into this? It's not
Right.
gonna be me that draws them.
Right.
So I just became, like, minimal effort, and then I was just like, "Why am I even
Totally.
doing this?"
Yes, exactly. I mean, there's that weird scripture where it's like, if I don't do this, the stones will cry out,
Yeah.
right? And I always thought like, well, that would be like way better, like way more
Let the
people will
stones
listen to
do
the stones are crying out.
it.
Like,
I mean, if I saw a stone crying, I'd pretty much, like, be
I
convinced. So,
mean, look at
like,
the crystal market right now. Like people are really into rocks.
the
They don't
stones
even
are
have to say
crying
anything.
out.
It would have been way better than me knocking on somebody's door on Saturday morning when they're
I
hungover and
love it.
like not dressed yet.
Oh my gosh.
But
I love that.
but
Oh,
uh but yeah, so okay, sorry.
you know,
Continuing
you're
on with my
good.
story. So I'm looking back on like my teen years and I had that first kind of courage, like making my parents proud, do all the hard stuff, kind of courage until you kind of entered my life. And then you were like courage catalyst for me. And I started to do things that my parents thought were rebellious, but I was like, no, like this is right. Like
This
this
is
is
a normal
me.
teen thing, yeah.
This is
So,
me.
let's clarify, we'll back up a little bit. So,
Okay.
majority like, my hang on. As a child, I wasn't a Jehovah's Witness. Let me start
Right.
17 sentences.
Yes.
This is just my MO. As a child, I wasn't a Jehovah's Witness.
Right.
However, I
Right.
did grow up with my grandma who was Jehovah's Witness, so it was always
Yeah.
in my life
Yeah.
from since I was a baby.
Right.
Um, till she was in my life till I was 4. She moved away to Durango to go take care of my great-grandparents, her parents.
Yeah.
And then I spent summers and spring break visiting her from 9 to 12.
Yeah.
And when I wasn't visiting her in those years between 4 and 9, I was on the phone with her,
Mhm.
um, studying. So it was something that
Yep.
was always in my life.
Yeah.
But of course, I had that worldly influence
Yeah.
until I moved to live with her right after I turned 12. And from 12 to 19, it was like concentrated.
Yeah.
I was going to church every day or all the 3 days a week. I was
Yeah.
going out in service, the door-to-door work. I got baptized when I was 15. So, like, I was in it and I was committed and it was totally my jam at the time, but I was definitely had that worldly influence that I
Yeah.
think
I
may
know.
not have made a few parents uncomfortable. I
Oddly
also went
enough,
to public school up until that point.
totally, totally. My dad, like, loved you, and my dad didn't love any teenagers. Like, he saw all of these other and he could find bad things in all of the other teenagers, but for some reason, he really loved you, and you were always, like, allowed to be around.
That's so fu I love that.
Isn't that ridiculous?
That makes my people pleaser heart happy. Oh.
Totally, totally.
That's funny.
But I remember, I have this memory of there was a boy in Santa Fe that I really liked, and I had met him at a hall build, right? We went down and we volunteered to help build new churches, new kingdom halls.
Mhm,
So I met him there. He brought his whole family up here to see us, to meet my family, and
mhm.
my father was so cold to them. Was just like didn't want to talk to him, didn't want to talk to his family, was not willing to acknowledge. I mean, I was like 16 or 17 at this time.
Was that the one that we did in Aurora?
No, that was Santa Fe.
Oh,
You
okay,
weren't at the hall build.
okay,
But then, like, he brought them to the assembly. It was in Farmington,
okay.
right? So
Yeah.
then afterwards, the guy and his family are like, "Well, we're gonna go play, like, basketball over here with all of these other Christian people, and there's lots of other adults involved, and do you wanna come?" And my dad was like, "Absolutely, you're not going." And so you and I snuck out. I was like, "I'm gonna go hang out with Amber." And you and I went and, like, played basketball with them, and it was, like, the first truly rebellious thing that I had ever done, right? And it was all because of you. No. You were just you gave me this space to kind of, like, start doing independent things,
Yeah,
and I got real hooked on it real quick.
I planted a seed.
You did. You did.
And I think around, I wanna say, let's say 16, 17.
Mhm.
That's around when I was starting to fade out too.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, like, full on, but I was starting to realize, like, there are things that I wanna do, and
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
just gonna do it. Like, I remember that was around when I was, like, sneaking out to meet the guy that I liked, and we weren't even doing anything, we were literally
Yeah.
sitting on my back
Right.
porch.
Yes.
But that was terrible because we were unchaperoned.
Yes, that's true. But,
Um,
like, I also think it's really important for me to bring in kind of Michaela's story because although I don't wanna tell her story is kind of very wound into mine,
mhm,
right? So I got married at 19, she was still in at that time, she's years younger than me, so she was 12 at the time. Uh, and she never really felt in at all,
mhm,
right? She was always kind of fighting it. And wasn't a thing I knew at the time, but I know now. So I married, a few years later, she wants to date, right?
mhm,
And it's not allowed. It's not allowed to date until you're ready to get married, you're not
mm,
dating. And there was a thing that happened with somebody in the congregation who was having her send them nude photos of herself at 13.
mhm,
And when that came to light, she got in trouble and the guy never did.
mm.
And, like, he was over 18. That was a totally child issue. Um,
Yeah,
and that
wow.
was one of those first, like, wedges that happened where I was like, "Wait a minute.
Mhm,
This isn't good."
yeah. And there's a
I
lot that's, like, handled within the congregation.
Yeah,
Like, sadly, they view as, if we can handle it, we don't and they're disciplined spiritually, then we don't need to involve law enforcement,
yeah, yeah. Yep.
which is really shady.
Like, "It's between them and God. We don't need to get everyone else involved." It's like,
Mhm.
"Well, actually,
You probably should.
you probably do."
Yeah.
So then I proceeded to have, like, these crises, right? I had my best friend at the time was gay, and he was trying real hard to stay inside and stay, good Christian kid, not lose his family. That just wasn't sustainable. It wasn't going to happen,
Yeah.
right? And I actually convinced him to like just go to the elders, just tell them, just be truthful, like they're going to help you. And so he did. And all they did was tell him, don't tell anyone.
Mhm.
You're not allowed to tell anyone. Like they didn't give him any help or anything. It was just, and I was crushed.
Yeah.
I was like, that was not what I expected to happen. I expected him to like close ranks around him and be supportive and like he
Yeah.
wants to be here. And
And help him through, like, therapize him through it, like,
yes. Yeah.
because we had read articles of people who had been through the same thing, and they
Mm-hmm.
had basically the elders of the congregation had, like, therapized them and
Right.
coached them
Like
through.
bolster them through this situation,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's an impossible situation because you're not allowed to be alone around people of the opposite sex, right?
Mhm.
Unless you're married to them.
Mhm.
But if he was true to like his own temptation, he would also never be alone with someone of the same sex.
Mhm.
So that just meant he was going to be lonely forever, or he was going to lie to somebody. Those
Mm.
were his options.
Yeah.
I could not stomach that those were his options, you know?
Yeah, that makes my heart so sad to
I
think,
know,
like,
right?
"Okay, I just won't be around anybody then."
Anybody ever again. Ah, ah,
Well, and the thing is this religion is a community, right? It's
it
built
is.
on community
It
of, like,
is.
you have your brothers and your sisters to count on in
Yep.
dark times, and to be fair, they really did, like, when my grandma was in the hospital, they totally rallied.
They
When
do.
we were moving and all of our stuff was flipped upside down, they rallied, you
Mhm.
know? Like,
Yep.
when my great-grandparents passed away, they were there. So, like, to be fair, there is that sense of community, but in that situation, it was just like,
Yeah.
figure it out.
Exactly. You're on your own with this.
Yeah.
So that was one big situation for me, and the other big situation was I had a cousin that I loved. I spent a great deal of time with her, and she had just gotten married. She was like 2 months married, and he started to beat her,
Hmm.
and it got really, really bad, and she had, like, medical records to prove everything.
Oh, I didn't know it was that bad.
She
Wow.
she took it all to the elders and was like, "Help me. Like, let me divorce him."
Because when in the church to divorce, the
Mhm.
only real grounds is, adultery.
Yeah.
And if you
Exactly.
do get divorced, I mean, like, things are gonna happen. People are gonna get divorced, it doesn't work out, whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you're not clear to be married again until one or the other
Sleeps with someone else.
sleeps with somebody, even though
Yeah.
you're not married anymore. It's
Yeah.
really, yeah,
It's complicated and weird.
yeah.
But again, I thought, like, the elders are like, but all they told her was, "This isn't a breaking of your marriage vows."
Mm,
And they wouldn't help her in any other way, and it was just like she had the strength to say, "Hey, this isn't okay. I need help over here," which so many women, like,
yeah,
struggle to find that strength in the first place,
yeah.
and she was there, and they weren't gonna help her, and
Mm,
it was
I feel
just
like that would be like you've been swimming at sea by yourself
yeah,
and you finally a boat passes by and you have just enough strength to like pull yourself up and they say,
yep,
"Oh, actually you need to swim to shore."
yeah, on your own,
Yeah.
like, no floaties for you, you're just on your own.
Bye. Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So those are, like, my crashes, right? At
Yeah.
this point, I'm 25, and I'm like, "This I'm done. This isn't if there's a God, he's not here," was
Mhm.
was my line at the time. Like, this isn't being run by him.
Yeah. This isn't the God that we learned about that
Yeah,
loves us. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So at this point, my little sister has been out for 2 years, which means for 2 years, I have not spoken to her despite the fact that she lived across the street from me.
Mm.
I
Mhm.
have to pretend like she's dead. That's the thing.
Mhm.
She's just fellowship. She's gone, and I found her number and I called her and I was like, I need to talk to somebody. Do you have like the space for me
Mhm.
right now? And she did. So we met at a public park. And I remember she was in like little blue scrubs because she was doing cosmetology school at the time. Um, she's just adorable, and I just there's this shining aura around her in my memory, 'cause she's like my savior. This time I
Yeah.
was like, "I have to get out. I have to go somewhere. I have, like, no money. I have no way I have to separate myself from a husband who does love me, but also doesn't have money," right?
Mhm.
And
Oh,
all
because
of
that
my
was the other
family.
thing too, is
Yeah,
that if you had a lot of money, if you were putting, like, material things above
yeah,
your spirituality, it was looked down upon. So we lived
exactly.
very, like, I mean, we got by. We weren't,
We
like,
did,
poor,
we
poor,
did.
but we definitely weren't, like, let's go on an extra vacation this year.
No, there was no investing happening,
No. Yeah.
No, no one was planning for tomorrow in any way.
Because there wasn't supposed to be a tomorrow.
No,
The world
there
was gonna
wasn't.
end,
There
and we
was
were gonna be sick.
exactly. I guess that's something I probably should have talked about too, is, like, I spent my entire childhood preparing for Armageddon,
Mhm.
right? My dad would have, like, these drills with me where, like, "We're gonna get tortured maybe in front of you, and you can't, like, deny God," and that was, like
Oh my gosh, have you seen those reels where it's, like, your parents training you for if there's a fire in the house and you have to drag the parent out, like, what are you gonna do? Meanwhile, you're having drills for, like, if my parents are tortured, I have to choose my
Yeah,
religion.
right, like, choose God no matter what. Yeah, I know.
That's traumatizing.
These are the things my therapist loves to hear about. Um,
Keeping her in business.
yeah, exactly. So, um in meeting with her, I was like, "Can I come stay with you? Like, I'm gonna blow my life up. I'm going to publicly say, I don't wanna be here anymore, which means I'm gonna have nowhere to go. Can I take refuge with you?" And so
Mhm.
she said, "Yes, absolutely." And I really expected her to, like, have some anger or something to work out with me in that moment because I had abandoned her for 2 years. I mean, she's only 17, 18
Yeah.
at this time that I'm standing here talking to her. But she didn't. She had nothing but just, like, love and compassion and readiness. Yeah.
So just to clarify, with the disfellowshipping, and I'll kind of interject
Yeah.
where I was at this
No,
point.
please
So,
do.
so disfellowshipping, there's two levels of it. There's your, what was it? The one where you're not disfellowshipped, but you're like publicly
Reproved.
reproved. Okay.
Yep.
So when you're
Yep.
reproved, you lose some of your privileges. Like you can't handle the microphones or you can't
Mhm.
give talks on stage. You're not
Right.
and
You're
people are
not a good
still
example.
yeah,
Yeah.
people are still associating with you to, like,
Mhm.
encourage you, which is the way that
Yeah.
it should be, but you don't have privileges.
And
That
everybody
makes sense.
knows that you did something bad,
Yeah,
right?
and
And so
that
they're like, "Don't wanna be too close to you."
right, and kind of, like, that discipline to me kinda makes sense. It's like telling a kid they're grounded. Like, you just
Yeah.
don't get to
Yeah.
hang out with your friends,
Right.
or you don't get to go to the party.
Yeah.
But then there's disfellowshipping,
Yeah.
and that's where you've done something and you weren't repentant when you were disciplined,
Right.
but then you kinda wanna come back, and so the elders say, "Well, you're disfellowshipped,
Right.
and, so people can't associate with you. You're not invited to anything. You have to, like, come in during if you're coming to church, you're coming in the middle of the first song, and you're leaving before the
Mhm.
meeting is over so that nobody
Yeah.
has to associate with you or make eye contact.
Right.
If people see you in the grocery store, you're literally, like, looking away.
Yeah.
It's
Eyes to the
very
floor, they walk around you, like,
mm,
no acknowledgement
like,
at all.
go to the
Yeah.
next aisle.
Yeah.
Yes, very much like you're very secluded.
Yeah.
Um, so and your sister was disfellowshipped at how old was she?
16, I think? Yeah.
Oh my gosh, like,
Yeah.
she's
I
figure
know.
you're figuring out who you are at 16.
Totally. Totally.
Um, so rewinding a little bit, you and I moved to I was visiting my grandma, um,
Mhm.
for spring and summer break at 9, so that's when we, like, really met and really got to start hanging out and everything,
Yeah.
and then I moved there when I was 12, just after I turned 12, and, you had moved to a different congregation, but we were still close enough that we would, like, see each other,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
then you moved back, but we let's see, so I got baptized when I was 15,
Right.
um, and then we started regular pioneering when we were 16,
Yeah.
I
Yep.
think. So the way that it works when you're regular pioneering is after you do it for a year, you get to go to this special 2-week school, pioneer school.
Yes.
We went to that together.
Mhm.
And I think we were 17 when we went to that.
I think so.
Yeah, 17.
Yeah.
I think because I had just graduated. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, anyways, that doesn't matter. But we went, who cares about school? We went together, and I think both of us were going through like some pretty big crises while we
Yeah.
were there, because I remember one
Yeah.
night we both came out and, like, the next morning, we both had super puffy eyes, and I was like, "Dude, I don't know if you heard me, but I was crying all night." And you're like, "I was crying all night." "Well, why were you crying?" "Well, I really like this boy and I'm not supposed to." "Well, I really."
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, it was just wild. But anyway,
The
so we went,
teenage drama.
right? We went to Pioneer School together, and then we came back, and we were, like, the core group
Yeah.
of the, like, zealous teenagers. We were
Mhm.
helping on, they call them hall builds because they call their churches kingdom halls.
Right.
And so, and you have to be in good standing to be able to help with those, and we were on the committee to help with those.
Yeah.
We were going to other congregations, we were giving talks, we were
Yeah.
kind of examples in the congregation,
Yeah. Absolutely. Yep.
which, tell me if you feel the same way, almost made it a further fall when we left.
Absolutely, it did.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So when I left, what happened is I was kind of having curiosities anyways, and I went to go visit my real dad in Colorado Springs, and then I went to go visit my mom shortly after that. And so I literally
Mhm.
had
I
like
remember that.
3 months of concentrated worldliness, and I was
Yeah.
already curious about it. I was 18, I just turned
Sure.
18, and then I came back, and I was like, "You want me to come back to this?"
Like, suffocating, like, "Oh
Yeah.
god, I can't do what?"
Yeah. No, really. I felt it, that's
Yeah.
exactly, I felt like I was wearing a
Yeah.
turtleneck. And I was just
Uh-huh.
like,
Like,
"Why
yeah,
am I here?"
4 sizes too small.
Yeah, and it was hard because of course we're taught that, like, um, if you're doubting your beliefs, you're letting Satan in.
Yep. Mhm.
And so then I'm having this conflict of, am I letting Satan win?
Right.
Am I a bad person? Was this just a mistake? Will they understand? Will they judge me? And at the time, I felt like I was being put on this pedestal
Mhm.
because my parents weren't in the religion. My grandma was, and I was. And so I had chosen the religion, which just like put
Yes.
me on
Yeah.
this example of like,
You're
you know,
like the success story, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, the pressure that that
Mhm.
put on me. And so then eventually I decided, it put me into like a really deep depression,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
Um, Like, I would go to work or I would go out in the door-to-door work, and I would go home, and I would literally just sleep. I didn't wanna be awake.
Yeah.
And I remember, because I just felt like this terrible person. I had so much guilt, and so much doubt. And then in the end, when I ended up leaving and I came back, I moved to Utah to live with my mom. That's the reason that I moved to Utah,
Mhm.
was because it gave me, like, anonymity. I
It
and
did.
because where we lived, it was such a small town, there was one congregation,
Yep.
so you knew who was a witness, you knew who wasn't a witness.
Mhm.
I remember I had a boyfriend and we went out to dinner with some of his friends, and one of the witness boys, I didn't know he just started working at the restaurant we were at,
Uh-huh.
and he walked up and I was like, "Oh god,
Uh
please tell the elders."
Uh-huh. Yes.
And I, like, couldn't sit still, and I remember telling my boyfriend, like, "I gotta go, I think it's past my curfew or something."
Yep. Yep.
And because I was just in this panic.
Yep.
Um, and that kid ended up never telling the elders, but when I left, it was under the pretense, like, all of my records from that congregation were transferred over to the new congregation in
Mhm.
Utah.
Mhm.
I was still technically pioneering, I hadn't quit that, and like, the new congregation, whenever I would come to Utah to visit my mom, I would go to meetings and go out in service, and so they knew me,
Uh-huh.
and there were, like, 3 other young people in that congregation, so they were, like, really stoked to have another zealous young person, and I just didn't show up.
Just
I just
MIA one day.
straight
Just
up
like,
ghosted
"Nope,
him.
nope."
And because my whole thing was like, I don't wanna lose all my friends, and I don't really know what I'm doing, like, I don't
Yeah.
know if I wanna stay or go. I'm
Yeah.
just in this in between, and Utah gave me that anonymity to make that
Did.
choice of, like, if I am hanging out with people who aren't witnesses, I'm not feeling pressured of, like, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna get caught," you
Mhm.
know? But
Mhm.
at the same time, if I wanted to go to the meetings and stuff, I had somewhat of a community there established.
Yeah.
It wasn't just me.
Totally.
And so, I just remember having this whole thought process of like, well, technically, if I just fade out,
Mhm.
they can still talk to me. There's no rule. I'm not officially disfellowship that says
Yeah.
they can't talk to you, they can't associate with you. And if I decide to come back, it's a lot easier. I just might
It's
have to go
true.
through like a little bit of counseling and
Mhm.
prove myself, but I'm like still back in. I don't have to go
Yeah.
through all the hard stuff.
Yep.
And that was my loophole.
Yeah.
Whereas you
Absolutely.
just went straight to like, I don't want to do. I actually
Well,
go ahead.
so I had a really strong reason to do it that way instead of the fade out, which a lot of people that I love have done the fade out, and I wish I could have done that. I was married.
Oh yeah.
Um, and he didn't want to leave the religion, right?
Did you
So
ask him if he wanted to leave?
no, we had this weird conversation after my initial bomb drop where he was like, I want us to stay married. And I was like, you don't understand. I'm not going to meetings. And I'm like, I'm not going to be a witness anymore. And he was like, no, I know. I'm still going to be a witness, but I think we should still stay married. And I was like, no,
I don't want to do that.
like that's not going to happen. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like we're already having trouble and I'm not going to enter that with like not a solid relationship. So no.
Yeah.
Um, but in order for him to be free to move on with his life and marry someone else, I had to say, I have cheated on him, which I did. Like, not proud of it. It absolutely happened.
Yeah.
It was part of the process. And so I taped a letter to the Kingdom Hall door that said, Brad is free to remarry. I have committed adultery. I don't want to be a witness anymore.
Which I remember when you did that because it was I had been coming back to Durango to visit. So we had this little group of friends, our own
We
little
did.
pod.
We did.
I was the first one to leave,
Yeah.
and I ended up like losing all of my friends because of it, which I
Yeah.
totally understood. It hurt, but I understood.
Yeah.
And I remember you were really upset with me. Like
I was.
Jenny went
I
back and
was.
forth about it, and she
Mhm.
wrote me a letter of like, "It breaks my heart. I love you so much. I just can't do this."
Yeah.
You wrote me this comment on
I
my
don't even
live journal
remember,
that
but I
was
can
like, "You
imagine.
think you're happy?"
Yep. That sounds like me.
You were really mad at me.
I
And
seriously
I
was.
like rightfully so. I mean, we were best friends, and one of your best friends is like giving up on this thing that we think is going to save our life.
Yeah.
And but anyway, so like eventually the group like one by one started leaving
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
leaving the religion. And so like one by one I started like gaining my friends back
I
again.
know.
And
Yep.
I remember I would go back to Durango to visit, and we had two friends there that I would always stay with. And I planned on coming there for Thanksgiving. And you messaged me and you're
Huh.
like, "Hey," well, I think you text me and you're like, "Is this still Amber's number?" And I was like, "Yes. Is this Shandra?" And you're like, "Yes." And you're like, "Amber, I am so sorry." And I'm like, "You're fine.
Huh.
I still love you."
Right.
And
Yeah.
you had just decided to leave.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, I'm coming into town in a couple of weeks. Let's hang out. It's for
Yeah.
Thanksgiving. Are you comfortable with that?" And that was your first holiday.
It was. It was. 'Cause I
And
left in October. Yep.
first of all, I remember, like, of all the holidays for you to be your first holiday, Chandra graduated high school when she was 15
Yeah, I did.
and
Yes.
then graduated culinary school.
Uh-huh. A year
Such a
later.
foodie. You're
Yeah.
like my
I know.
fellow foodie friend. It's like, of all holidays to be your first one, of course, is the foodie one.
Yes, yes, true.
But yeah, I just remember coming into town and you decided to do it while we were there. I think you told me like I did it.
Yeah.
I ran up and I taped it on the door. And I
Uh-huh. I
got back in
did.
my car.
Well, they had been blowing up my phone, like elders and my family and everyone, like, "You're squandering your spiritual heritage, and we wanna
Mhm.
meet with you, and we can help you," and I was just like, I wanted it to be done. I
Yeah.
needed it to be done. Um, but yeah, then my first, like, Thanksgiving was this entire group of disfellowshipped kids
That we all
or
grew up with.
just yeah, exactly. And so we just had our amazing first Thanksgiving together, and that was incredible.
That was really great. What was it like? So for me, I felt like I kind of, especially because I lived in another state, I didn't have to face a lot of that stuff.
Mm, mhm.
Um, you still live in that town.
I do. I still live here. I'm crazy.
So
Yeah.
I don't know but to be fair, you're not the only one. I mean, a couple of our friends who left lived there for a really long time. One moved and lives in, I think,
Mhm.
Idaho now.
Mhm.
But, like,
Mhm.
of our core group, I mean.
Yeah, exactly.
So, what was that like, or what has it been like? Okay, what was it like in the beginning to be
Uh-huh.
there and see everybody and know
Right.
you're disassociated, not disfellowship, disassociated, which is, like, even worse. You
Yeah,
chose to
I
leave.
chose it. I chose it. I committed suicide,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah.
What was that
So,
like in the first few years, and then how has that changed? What's it like now?
yeah, the the first year was hell. And I think for most people who go through this, the first year is hell. Like, this is where suicidal ideation lives. This is where addictions start. This is where you get sucked into really bad relationships. I got sucked immediately into an incredibly abusive relationship. Like, he had been watching me. He knew that I was headed for my most vulnerable stage ever, and he
Mhm.
moved in and sucked me in. So I spent my first year in a relationship with him, living at his house. It was more controlling than the church had been, and it took me, like, a full year to realize, "Oh, like, my life hasn't changed.
Yeah. It went
This
from
is
one control to
exactly the
another.
same." Yeah,
Yeah.
and so I finally got out of that. I think Kayla came to move me out of that house, like, 3 different times, and I went back every single time
Mhm.
until that final time. So she stuck with me through what was undeniably really hard for her. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you think that because you kept going back, that that was, like, a comfort zone and a safety? I'm just thinking, like, the parallels between people who keep going back to, like, the religion and how
Right, yeah.
that's somewhat abusive.
It's that incredible vulnerability, right? You've just lost everyone. This guy has offered me a family,
Mhm.
and he keeps saying, "What, you're gonna leave another family?" And I can't handle it, and
Yeah.
so I go back every single time.
And that's how it is with the religion of, like,
Yep.
here's all of this
Mhm.
hope and
Yes.
security, and we're your community, and look at this
Mhm.
hope for the future, and basically, like, anything that you're ever worried about or concerned about, we have a solution for, and just
Right.
trust in God.
Yep.
And
And
if
you can
you
have it all you have to do is come back.
Mhm,
Like, your family still loves you, but you have to come back,
mhm,
and it's just so manipulative and so achy. Yeah.
yeah.
So that's
Well,
what my first year was like.
okay.
After that, I moved back in with Kayla because living with my little sister, and I joined an atheist group. And at the time, like, I didn't know what I believed. I like,
Well,
everything was
everything's
shattered.
yeah,
Yeah,
everything's in question at that point, like, what do
exactly.
you believe?
Like, I
That's
don't
what
know what
matters.
is true, I don't know what isn't true, I don't know if I think the Bible is, like, a God thing or is it just, like, human literature. I have no idea. I have
Yeah,
no idea. And so I joined this atheist group, and it was just, like, the most healthy thing in the world for me to just kind of explore all of these topics from a secular standpoint
yeah,
instead of this is what the Bible says about it, and actually start to think my own thoughts.
mhm.
And that's, like, the first time that I have
Well,
my own thoughts.
and that's another thing too is that so with Jehovah's Witnesses, they have a whole library of books. But if we were to ever venture outside of those library of books to
Mhm.
research anything,
Yeah,
I mean, other than like the typical of like, what's the weather today? What's the
yeah,
population of such and such city? Things like that that
exactly.
the Bible doesn't have the knowledge of.
Mhm.
It was looked down upon.
Yep.
Like we were to only research from this Jehovah's Witness library
Yeah.
for
Yep.
everything. They even had a book on other religions
Yes.
that was
Yes.
and they would tell you, like, "It's free choice. You should look into other religions. You should understand them because then it'll
Right.
reiterate, like, that this is the one. And so here's a
Right.
book that we've written about other religions so
Right.
you can do that research."
You can trust us. Yeah,
Mhm. We've
exactly.
done the
Yeah,
research for you.
totally. I mean, like, the first book that I read that was a secular, like, nonfiction book was called Don't Shoot the Dog. It's a dog training book, okay? It's not, like, meant to be a mind blower, but it cracked me open because the whole book is, like, how if you use, like, dog training methods that are all about, like, guilt and harm,
Mhm.
you end up with an animal that's unpredictable and afraid, and I was like,
Mhm.
"Oh god, that's me. Oh god." Like,
I'm the
it
dog.
just kinda it just cracked open, like, my entire upbringing and everything that I was currently struggling with. Like, it was
Yeah.
just all about guilt and shame, and maybe if I try something that isn't guilt and shame, maybe that and it's been a lot better. Anyway.
Yeah. So how is it now? And, like, what got you from point A to point B in that shame and hard first year?
Right? I mean, you have to there's a lot of deprogramming. I know that's a hot button word, but it's real.
Mhm.
Like, you have to unlearn a lot of things
Mhm.
and go back in your education and relearn some like, I found history podcasts that talked about things I had never heard about,
Yeah.
like, you're learning all over again, and you have to kind of take your education in your own hands,
Mhm.
which is important to do for all of us, by the way.
Religion or not, still do that.
Yes, please do that. But I spent like 8 years, like almost militant atheist, right?
Mhm.
And I would joke about how my woo receptors were broken, which was absolutely true. Like, I had no ability to sense woo or to tolerate woo of any kind, uh, for that entire time. And then I had one day where I was like, I'd been working through this idea of how afraid I was of silence,
Mhm.
you know? Like, if I'm home alone, the TV's on.
Yeah.
Like, even if I'm not in the same room, the TV is on. I don't want silence, or my headphones are in, or I've got something going on. I don't want silence. And I had to like, why I'm so afraid of the silence. What is it that happens in the silence that triggers me so badly?
Yeah.
And I came to this idea like that's where my own thoughts happen and I'm not used to hearing them. And
Mhm. Or
so what does that
trusting them.
mean? Exactly. Exactly. So I don't know. I had this morning, it was a December of where are we now?
I don't even know what
2021,
day it is. So.
I think. I think it was 2021. So we've gone through the whole pandemic and everything. And it's 4 o'clock in the morning, and there's this windstorm happening outside,
Mhm.
and it's just, like, throwing sticks at the side of the house, and I'm just like I got up. I don't usually get up at 4 in the morning, but I'm at least 6, okay?
Yeah.
I get up, I make my coffee, and I'm sitting, and it's like the moonlight is coming in the window, and I'm sitting there in the moonlight just, like, watching the storm throw things at the window. And I just had a moment of clarity that I don't think I've ever experienced in my life prior to that. You
Mm.
know? Like, I just figured out all of this stuff, and I realized that's incredibly vague and unhelpful, but it's also just, like, in my own head.
That's okay. It doesn't you don't need to, like, explain it to anybody else. It made
Right.
sense to you, and that's what's important, right?
Exactly. But that's relevant because, like, I love atheism. I'm still kind of an atheist,
Mhm.
uh, but there's that moment of there's an intense amount of energy outside of this house, and I can feel it, and nothing in my atheistness tells me what that is.
Mm.
Like, I'm
Yeah.
feeling something, and it's really powerful, and it is helping me through some shit, and I don't know, so I'm just sitting there in the dark with my coffee, and Victor, my husband, he gets up and he's like, "Are you okay?" 'Cause that's not something I've ever done, just sit in the dark with, nothing on. But it started this, path that I'm on now,
Yeah.
where I'm like, I'm exploring witchcraft, I'm exploring paganism.
Mhm.
That is what the podcast Kayla and I have is about. It's sister magic. We are learning. We are not I think we're very careful to say we're not in a position to teach anybody anything because we're so new to all of this, but we are learning and we are finding really valuable resources and we're wanting to throw those resources out to other people who are also searching for them.
Yeah, it's super helpful. It's like a,
Yeah.
like, go-to I love your guys' podcast because it's like a go-to spot where you can be like, "Oh, it's this time of year. This
Mhm.
is what type of cycles in the moon are happening," and this is
Yeah.
like, you guys are so thorough with your research. I love
Try to
it.
be. I'm glad you think so. But it's like exploring this whole thing that's all about like intuition and actually listening to what's happening inside of you
Mhm.
and the incredible healing that I have had from that path
Yeah.
has just been immense. And I'm just incredibly grateful for that. Yeah, I don't know. Go ahead.
I can totally relate. It's funny because I was actually talking to somebody recently about, it was actually the same friend where we were talking about leaving the religion and
Mhm.
how,
Mhm.
the witnesses call it Holy Spirit, the Mormons call it Holy Ghost, whatever.
Mhm.
But,
Mhm.
like, I saw this book and it was like A to Z, trusting the Holy Ghost or how the Holy Ghost can help you A to Z. And I'm looking
Mhm.
through the contents and it's like, will build your relationships, will help you know what to do, will
Mhm.
guide you in the right direction. Like all of these things that are like, I'm like, that's your intuition.
Yeah. That's coming from you.
Yeah. And I remember it's funny because it like gave me this flashback and it was cool that a cool moment to be like, oh shit, look at how far I've come of
Yeah.
like, and this is something that I'm working on right now of like trusting myself, trusting my intuition, listening
Yes.
to myself and just
Yeah.
being, which is like terrifying, but like the
It
power
is.
in that.
Yeah.
And it's it's so wild to think that at one time I thought that I had to pray to somebody to get the answers on how
Right,
what to do next. And I'm
right.
not knocking people who do that. I love like for
Not at
people
all.
who have that trust in something, but also know that you have that power in yourself.
Yeah,
You have intuition, and it's okay if you make a decision on something and you didn't pray about it.
it's true.
Like you
It's
can
so true.
trust learn to trust yourself.
Yeah,
And it's so
yeah.
so powerful when you are learning how to trust yourself.
Right.
But
And I've always been this person that's, like, lived by kind of a seasonal rhythm anyway, like, the foods I cook are different in the summer than the winter, and
mhm.
the beer I like is different in the summer, and, like, I've always just kind of shifted everything but now, like, I get to kind of work that into this spiritual rhythm
Yeah.
where I'm, like, very intentionally doing different things for each season, and I'm kind of, like, learning to grow stuff when there's stuff growing outside, and it's this incredible healing path, and it's very meaningful,
Mhm.
right? Fulfilling.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
and I think just it's there's a flow to
yeah.
it.
Mhm.
It's trusting that, like, things will happen the way that they're going to happen and
Yeah,
loving and appreciating them for the way that they're going and working with that,
yeah.
and then seeing like, "Oh, wow, things are really, like, falling into place." Like, "Oh, I realize, like, if I plant this time of year, it's actually gonna flourish more," whether that means, like, literally a vegetable or
Mhm.
thoughts and ideas, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think before, like, where we grew up, it was very, like, control.
Mhm.
It was very much about, like, "This is the way that it is. It doesn't matter." And if you would
Yep.
have told somebody, "Yeah, I was looking into the moon, and I realized that in this season and this time, if I plant this, the moon helps with this,"
Yeah, incredible, right?
they would have gone nuts. Like, they would
Yeah.
have
Or even just using, like, moon phases as, like, goal trackers, like, "Okay, during the full moon, I'm gonna do this, and then until the new moon, I'm gonna do this." And,
Yeah,
like, it just it's really cool,
it is. It's
really
so
helpful.
fascinating.
Yeah.
Well, and what's wild too is, like, just how much the moon I don't think that people realize how mu I think people are starting to realize how much the moon influences us.
Influences, yeah.
And, I saw this reel one time, and it was a guy, and he's like, "For people who don't believe in astrology, think about it.
Mhm.
If the moon can influence the the water on the earth, and we're like 70 something percent water, what do you think it's doing to
To
us?"
us. It's very true. It's very true. Yep.
But yeah.
And I'm still kind of in the secular space where, like, I really struggle to connect with deities, as deities. I do, however, really connect strong with these stories,
Mhm.
the mythology and everything wrapped around those
Yeah,
deities. Because 'cause I'm a writer, I'm a novelist. I love stories. I love characters. I love all of that. And so
and
I can
history.
still yeah, I can still really connect to the humanity of those stories and, like, across time, you know? I mean, we've got deities from thousands and thousands of years ago, and to be able to connect with the stories that people were telling at that time, I think
Mhm.
is like a spiritual experience for me.
Oh,
I
yeah.
totally still connect to that in a spiritual way, but I'm still really struggling with this idea of like higher powers and
Mhm.
and that. So
And what that means.
yeah, exactly.
Can I ask you a
Sure.
question?
Yeah.
Do you pray anymore?
No,
Me neither.
no.
Do you, when do you think that stopped for you? Like, was there a conscious, "I'm not going to pray anymore," or did it
It
fade?
was immediate. It was immediate.
Interesting.
Yeah. When I decided I'm done with this, I wasn't praying anymore. Um, I am learning about like journeying now and meditating, and I am making a very conscious connection between what prayer is and what meditation is.
Mhm,
Like, they are very closely connected,
mhm.
which has really helped me to, like, not have an attitude towards religious people
Yeah,
who like to talk about praying because it's just meditate like, it's fine.
yeah,
It's just
yeah,
different words, same thing.
exactly. Well, but even the witnesses, I remember them calling it meditating on it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
Um,
know. Yeah. Do you? Do
for
you pray?
no, I
Mm.
don't, and for me, it was kind of a gradual thing.
Mm.
'Cause I remember sometimes of course, because we lived in Durango, my real dad lived in Colorado Springs, my mom lived in Utah, and so when I was driving to go visit any of them, I had this long drive where I
Mhm.
would just, like, pour my heart out to God
Yeah.
and with whatever I was struggling with,
Mhm.
and I remember when I was in the very first stages of leaving,
Mhm.
I prayed, but then I stopped because I had this guilt about it.
Mm.
And then I realized, like, I just felt it was unnecessary,
Yeah.
especially if I don't even know what I believe about a higher power.
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't know that I ever went to atheist,
Mhm.
maybe for a short time. I think that I have always been agnostic. Like, I just think I know there's some sort of energy, there's some sort of higher power.
Mhm.
Like, there has to be an explanation behind all of these cool things that are happening and how it all falls into place, but at the same time,
Mhm.
like, I don't know what that is,
Right.
and I'm
And
fine
maybe
with it just
maybe you
being an
don't need to
energy.
know. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe you're okay with the mystery, and that's
Yeah,
alright. Yeah.
exactly, yeah.
Totally. Totally.
Um, what else was I going to ask? Do you did you ever at any point think about going back?
No,
What about
never.
your and I know your sister's story is hers to tell.
Mhm.
She
Mhm.
struggled with going back and forth for a little bit too, right?
Not really. I mean, she was forced, like, while she lived
Yeah,
with my parents, she had to go
that's
to
what it was.
meetings,
Yeah,
right? And then she gets disfellowshipped, for being caught alone with her boyfriend. They weren't doing anything, but they were alone in the same room, so something must have happened.
right. No chaperone.
Yeah, so she's disfellowshipped. Um, and it was only, like, I think a year later that they kicked her out of the house, and she
Yeah,
moved in with Steven, or her husband at the time, so,
yeah.
yeah.
What's your relationship like with your parents now?
There isn't one. It's 0 for 11 years. The weird thing is they've just recently made some changes inside of the organization, the witnesses, that says they're allowed to talk to disfellowship people as long as they're just inviting them to the meetings. So last weekend I had a rough weekend because I got a text from my mom about going to the
Memorial.
memorial and please watch this 20-minute video and we love you and we want you to come back and
Yeah.
yeah.
So, just to explain, Jehovah's Witnesses
Yeah.
don't celebrate any holidays. The only thing that they do celebrate is Memorial, which is the
Right.
Passover, the Last
Yeah.
Supper, whatever
Yeah.
you wanna call it,
Exactly.
because
Exactly.
it's the only thing in the Bible where Jesus said, "Keep doing this."
Yeah. Exactly.
And
Yep.
so and they go here's what's funny, they go off of the lunar calendar.
I know. Yeah. Mhm.
Like, how witchy is that?
Exactly.
But yeah, so they time it off of the lunar calendar. The way that I always know is it's always, like, right around Easter.
Mhm. Yep.
So what's funny is I didn't even put it's to the point now where I don't even think about it. I didn't put 2 and 2 together, and the witnesses stopped by my house actually
Oh, did they?
and gave me the little
Recently?
yeah, they gave me the
Mm,
flyer to invite me, and she sent me the link for the it was a witness that used to come to my house, my when my grandma was alive, she had sent her, and
mhm.
it was right before Ben and I had moved away, but we kept our house, and so
Uh-huh.
this is, like, 6, 7 years later, so she's like, "I wondered, I saw your car, you have the same car, and we live close by, and so I thought I would just take a chance and stop by," and, she's like, "What have you been up to?" I'm like, "Well, married, I have 2 kids,
Uh-huh, yeah,
I've lived in, like, 3 different states, like, it's
yeah.
I have more tattoos." Um, do when you tell people that you used to be a Jehovah's Witness,
Mhm.
are they pretty shocked? Or
Yes.
what's the
Yeah,
reaction that you usually get?
yeah, they just get real wide eyes, like, "What was that like?" Yeah, they have all the questions, but yeah. I've
Especially
started sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, especially being in Durango where if people
Yeah.
grew up there, they're like, "Wait, I know the witnesses."
Right, yeah. I know, I do stand up now, and so one of my routines starts like, "I've knocked on every single door in this county."
That's true. I've been to all of your houses.
Uh-huh, yep, that's right. I know which one of you opened the door without clothes on. I know.
I know which one of you pretended to be on a phone call and then you're
Uh-huh,
while you were
uh-huh,
standing there.
yes, exactly.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
pretty funny, yeah.
Is it something that you have you reached a point where you feel comfortable enough to where, like, if it comes up in conversation, like, you willingly say, "Yeah, I used to be a witness, da 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 da
Oh,
da," or
totally, totally. Yeah, it's a part of my story, like, that I have nothing to hide really there, and I think it's something more people need to know about. Like, there's these people running around your community who are, like, completely shunned from everything they grew up in, and I
Mhm.
think more people need to know about it. It's
Yeah. Like,
kinda
these people
common
need a
now.
community. Well, and
Yeah,
I'm not I don't wanna take away from, like, the LGBTQ community and, like, their experience because it's not my
sure.
experience, but I would assume that it's probably similar to when
Yeah,
somebody comes out of the closet
yep,
and their family shuns them and they are just figuring out this new community
yep,
of who they
exactly,
are and don't
exactly.
really have any, like, rapport with anyone. And, like, the same
Absolutely.
thing of, like, leaving a religion where, like, this is we've been conditioned, this is my whole life.
Yep. And how do you, like, rebuild that? How do you rebuild your internal structures and your external structures and everything? It's a
Mhm.
lot. It's a
It's a
lot. Yeah.
huge mental game for sure. I mean, there's a lot. It's you're rebuilding yourself
Yeah.
from scratch
Uh-huh.
in a world that you were taught to hate.
Right. And that's completely foreign to you. It's like being on another planet.
It really is.
I mean, we're
That's
not even allowed to, like, vote or discuss politics as witnesses, and then you come out here and it's like, "Oh god, everything is just so much."
political. Yeah. Well, there's a lot that, like there's even if we are allowed to learn about it, there's not a lot of weight put on it because it's
Mhm.
like, it's not gonna be around for forever, so why
It's
would you
true.
do that?
It's
Like,
true.
eg further education after high school, there's
Mhm.
like, so when I
Mhm.
went to
Yep.
college, I was like, "I don't even know how to apply. I don't know what any of these tests are,"
Yeah.
and we were homeschooled, so I didn't know what
Yep. Yeah.
LMA, LMNOP, whatever format was when I had to write a paper.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly. Yeah.
there's it's like so it's funny because I remember one of our friends saying the similarity when this movie came out, and in the moment, I was like, "Oh, yeah, maybe it kind of is," and then as I was leaving, I was like, "Holy fuck, yes, it is."
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
if you've ever seen it, The Village by M. Night Shyamalan,
Uh-huh. Yep.
where they're taught there are these creatures and there's this evil world on the outside, and they have to make
Mhm.
these sacrifices to appease them, and they have to
Right.
stay in their little community, and if they venture out or have any curiosities, the creatures will come and eat them.
Exactly. Yep.
And then she, like spoiler alert, she jumps over the hedge and realize and they've been living in, like, 18th century type of living with no electricity
Exactly, yeah.
and she jumps over the hedge to get help and realizes it's the 21st century
Mhm.
on the outside world, and
Yep.
people are rushing to help her.
Yep. And there's
And
no
that's like
monsters anywhere.
yeah, there's no monsters. And that was how it was when I left. I remember being like, we were convinced that nobody was truly happy, they were just faking it.
Mhm.
Because they didn't know
Mhm.
what real happiness was because they weren't in this religion.
Right. Yep.
And, so I was just so scared of, like, am I gonna be faking it? These people aren't really happy. How do they know how to are they really my friends?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, definitely a culture shock
Absolutely.
in
Yeah.
that religion.
And there's a lot out here to get used to. Don't get me wrong, right? I mean, there is monsters out here,
Yeah,
and there's a lot of things you have to be careful of. I don't think, like, addiction and stuff is as strong inside of that community because you have such a strong human connection with everyone else.
yeah,
So
true.
things like that are definitely more of a challenge on the outside than they are on the inside, but man, it's just to have the agency over your own life, to make those choices for yourself. Like,
Mhm.
I'm a queer woman that doesn't want kids, and, like, I get to make that choice for myself,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
that's very important to me to be able
Yeah.
to do that. Yeah.
Um, I do wanna kinda rewind a little bit how you
Yeah.
mentioned, and I love that you said this because there were a lot of things to we've kind of, like, talked about all of the things that were hard,
Yeah.
but the things to appreciate about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, like, I don't regret that time that I was a
Right.
witness. I
Mhm.
definitely, like, am grateful for the out that I had of being able to come to my mom's when I was ready to leave.
Right.
I think it served a huge purpose, and I'm grateful that I had that during my teen years
Yeah.
because it let me be a teen, it let me be a
It did,
kid and just be innocent and have fun, and,
and grow into yourself,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah, and so, like, that I'm thankful for.
Mhm. Yeah.
What are some things that, like, in hindsight or
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
you're thankful for?
I mean, I'm a really hard worker, which isn't common in my generation, we'll
Yeah.
say. And everyone remarks on it because I stand out a lot as
Mhm.
an incredibly hard worker. And I enjoy it. I enjoy work. I love to work with my hands. And I'm a seamstress. I work for a company that makes bags for bicycles, you know?
Mhm.
It's incredible. I love it. And they think that they've, like, struck gold because they found me. You know?
Like, you should hire more people who used to be witnesses.
Yes, you should. You should. Like, all the homeschool kids, just find them.
Oh, man.
Like, that's something that I definitely got from my upbringing. Like, I'm very disciplined. I will decide to do a new thing and I will attack it with fervor. And that is also, like, from my upbringing,
Mhm.
right? We research, we learn, and then we go do the thing. And I attribute all of that to, like, my upbringing.
Yeah.
Um, something this kind of more comedic, right? Something I was working on for, like, my next stand up is I discovered masturbation long before I learned what the word masturbation was. So I had like 3 or 4 years of like just blissful stress relief, and because you're not allowed to have like sexual contact with other people, it was all about me.
Yeah.
And like there aren't a lot of things that were like super healthy in my development, but that, like just to have 3 or 4 years that were just all about me and nobody else, that was really healthy, and I like attribute a lot of that to the power that I have now.
Like, I learned more about myself in that time.
Yes, I did, and I wasn't focused on, like, how to give blowjobs or anything else that a lot of other teenagers were worried about. I was
Yeah.
only worried about me. Uh, I happen to think that that's really cool.
It's a level of self-centeredness that you can appreciate.
I definitely do. I'm here for the selfishness a lot.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Uh, um, what are this is a question that I love to ask everybody. So
Okay.
clearly, like, doing great in your religion, left it, that was really hard. You're like
Mhm.
figuring out your new identity, you're figuring
Yeah.
out what you believe while also figuring out what this whole world is about. Um, and losing all of your friends and family and then regaining
Mhm.
more. And now here you are where you have like this beautiful community. I've met a lot of your friends and I just think they're
Mhm.
amazing. And I love all the amazing things that you're doing. Every time you post something new, I'm just like, oh, yes, Chandra. Like, you're like digging in your heels of discovering who you are
Uh,
and showing the world without shame, which I love so much. Like, honestly, you could be like building an air balloon or deciding that you want to wear clown shoes that make noise every day. And I would just be like,
ooh,
yes, Chandra.
clown shoes.
Because
Yep.
it's just the way that we grew up. The fact that you're doing something that is completely opposite and you're just doing it and you're
Right.
loving it. And I
Yeah.
can see your happiness. And that makes me so happy.
Thank you.
Um, that whole growth process
Uh-huh.
for the ones that are going through what
Uh-huh.
you went through, who are in
Uh-huh.
the process of figuring it out, who are leaving, whether that's Jehovah's Witness, whether that's the LDS Church, whether that's not even religion, but just the community that they live in,
Yeah.
what's something that you want to say to people who are going through that or that would have been helpful for you to hear when you were going through that?
I think especially in society today, we want there to be all the progress immediately. We want it to be all better, 100%, just fix it.
Mhm,
And that's just not how progress works. You take baby steps. It gets a little bit better every day, and you're grateful every day that it is better than yesterday was. And sometimes tomorrow's won't be better than today was because progress isn't linear.
mhm,
But just keep moving. You just keep moving through the things, and the end of the road is gonna be so much better than where you are right now.
mhm.
I think that's what I would say. Yeah.
That's beautiful, I love
Thank
that.
you. Thank you.
Um, I guess, was there anything else that you wanted to tell or give a shout out or anything like that? Let's give a little shout out to your podcast because I do want
Okay.
people to go and
Okay.
take a look at that. So
Alright.
what are all of the socials for that?
Alright. So the podcast is Sister Magic, and it's Magick. We're available on all the podcast things. We have an Instagram and a Threads at Sister Magic Pod. It's the same tag on both. And we have an email, sistermagicpod@gmail.com if you want to just send us your stories or recommendations or whatever. Yeah,
That's awesome. And
yeah,
that's weekly, right?
it is. It is
Okay.
weekly.
And
Yeah.
that's a podcast that she does with her sister Michaela,
Yeah.
who is also a Jehovah's Witness
Hmm.
and probably has her own story. I
Definitely
mean, not
has her
probably.
own stories. Yeah.
She for sure has
Yeah.
quite the
Yeah.
story to tell as well. And I love that you guys at least had each other. Like that's
We did. Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. I
And
wouldn't have
also I'm
much if it
really
wasn't for her.
yeah.
Yeah.
And also I'm not gonna lie, when you text me to be like, hey, so I'm leaving, I was like, another one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Another one bites the dust.
Yeah.
Yep.
Get another bring
Yeah.
back.
Yes, that's all right. I'm just sucking them all in.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what I was really up to is my
Yes.
evil plots. Oh my gosh. So
Amber the Courage Catalyst.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And here we are. Just trying to help you be a better person,
That's
Chandra.
right. That's right. It worked. It worked.
Oh man. All right. Well, thank you so much for being so
Thank you.
vulnerable,
Of
honest
course.
with me.
Yeah.
I'm like I said, this is a topic that I've talked to a few people about. And
Mhm.
usually I don't go into a lot of detail or I'll just leave it somewhat anonymous and just say I was in a cult. So
heavy topic. It's really heavy.
yeah. And it's not everybody understands. There's a lot to it.
Uh-huh. It's true.
It's not this like simple cut and dry thing. So
Yeah. Agreed.
I
Yeah.
appreciate you holding my hand through this.
Happy to be on this journey with you still.
Yeah. 20 something years later.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much. I love you.
Of course, I love you too.
Hey, thanks for listening to this episode. If you liked what you heard, please remember to subscribe and go leave a review on Apple Podcast. It helps me know what you want to hear and who I should have as a guest next. Thanks again, and until next time, keep living the life of a lotus.